Welcome everyone to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. We have plenty of news today. Primarily, our top story will be based on the plight of Judgment Day and the impending doom that comes with it. We'll also be talking about a few other pieces of news. For example, WWE planning to offer lower contracts to wrestlers that they don't necessarily plan for. Mercedes Money winning the New Japan Strong Championship. Jon Moxley's contract and what it allows for New Japan. Damage Control, where they're on the card. Paul Heyman's attacked by the Bloodline, and Zelina Vega versus Liv Morgan being brought forwards instead of being saved for Money in the Bank. So we've got plenty to dive into, and plenty, as I'm sure it will be, comments to go through as well. We had a very successful show last time around. We had a record of more than 170 subscribers gained in one day, thanks largely to the wonder that is Wrestling Days. I've definitely sent him another thank you, and so I feel I should. But also thanks to the news that we had to share, which was on the Wyatt 6, and some really in-depth information there. While I don't think that's going to be something we're seeing every single week, and not something I ever expect to be happening again for another show to that level, certainly I am very, very happy with how things are going at the moment, and I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who did watch, leave a like, comment, etc. Because while we got lots of comments saying I came over from Wrestling Days, those comments essentially skyrocketed the video, the stream, the go live, whatever you want to call it, to the top of the list for over 1,000 new viewers as well, who did not come over from Wrestling Days, but did come over regardless. So I want to say a huge thank you to everyone for engaging. Something as simple as leaving that like makes a massive difference. We had a 10% like ratio, and because of that, over 1,000 new viewers found it. Thank you, Wrestling Days. Thank you as well for watching right now. And thank you to the 31 people who've already hit like. We have 60 people watching, 31 likes in the first 2 minutes. That is how you build up a head of steam. I want to say hello to so many people already in the chat. Ishi saying hello. Welcome, Ishi. Says, hope you're okay. Doing very well, thank you. Our local establishment, Olay, says, hello, everyone. How are you all doing? I'm doing very well. Dax says, anything new with the Wire 6 today? Not today, no. We went very in-depth on Friday's show and used pretty much everything I know up to this point. Danny says, hello, Tom. Martin told me to let you know he's live this evening. Thank you for letting me know, Danny. I did see he was live before I jumped in, but I appreciate the heads up regardless. He will, of course, be missed. Finley says, hey, Tom came here from Wrestling Days. I don't know if you know him, but he praises you a lot. I know him a little more lately, I'll tell you that. I praise him right back. We share a lot of audience, and I think that means we have found each other quite a few times. Spider-Man says Forbidden Door was awesome last night. Sean says, hello, Tom. Hello, Sean. Michael says, hi, Tom. Hello, Michael. Michael Baseball Channel says, the Wire 6 showing up today? Likely, yes. It is Raw, and they're a Raw package. Daniel says, hey, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you too, Daniel. Eric says, I'm surprised they're not holding Liv Zelina for Money in the Bank. Sean says, let's get those likes up. Thank you, Sean. We're now up to 37, so clearly you're doing the right thing there. Coot says, hello, Tom. Been a while since I watched live. How have you been? Doing very well, thank you, Coot. I have a little bit of news as regards the house. I took down a wall today, because if I didn't, the wall would have come down anyway. I've had the house for 4 days. I don't think I've ever been this exhausted in my entire life. Yay! More on that story later. Juan says, let's go. Welcome, Juan. Barely dropping a W in the chat. Ishi says, Tom, is Uncle Howdy and the Y6 showing up tonight or just a vignette? I suspect we will see them tonight live and in the flesh. However, I don't think we'll see them in the ring. Danny says, Liv will retain tonight, Tom. We'll, of course, see what the results are. Finley says, Wrestling Days is the GOAT. Spider-Boss says, I'm excited for the Mercedes Money versus Britt Baker rivalry. It is about time we saw Mercedes Money start to alternate the group a little bit of who she's working with, and I'm excited for that. Backwards says, oh boy, Tom, have you heard of what Zero News said? No, and I'm okay with that. Leon says, hi, Tom. Hope you're doing well. Doing very well. Thank you, Leon. John says, hey, Tom, do you have any info on Dijak not being retained? Not specific to Dijak, but a little information about the change in strategy that I first discussed this time last week as regards releases and just keeping people. Matthew says, hey, tomorrow. Wow. I have future powers. What's up? Watch for the pig. Watch the pig. For anyone who wasn't here for the show on Friday, that is likely very confusing, but still got to watch that pig. Marcel says, hi Tom and chat, how are you all? Doing very well, thank you Marcel, welcome to the show. Bullet Ryan, appreciate you. Says hello to the best UK wrestling reporter. Thank you, that means a lot. FY says from North Carolina, we are getting around a bit. Brilliant. Welcome. Michael says, lucky Mercedes gets to book herself to win matches according to Twitter. Yes, I will be dispelling that. Sean says, I believe TMZ asked her, I'm not 100% sure, someone can correct me. TMZ asked Mercedes if she has creative control, and she said yes, to a degree. Bailey says, other than Mercedes money, has anyone else in AEW said they have creative control? I don't believe many have said it, but she has the same creative control that people such as John Moxley do. Luke says, howdy. Howdy. Carl, welcome. Says, hey Tom, we're so happy to see you on Days. Great seeing you at the recognition you deserve. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate you. We are getting a lot of love lately from a lot of different sources. Wrestling Days, certainly one of them. See Wrestling Andrew Zarian recently has been popping up on Twitter. I do think we're starting to get a lot more people recognise the work that goes in here. And I do think the site changing format has been very well received. Eric says, good evening, Tom. How you doing? Doing very well, thank you. Dax says, hello Tom, is anything being said about any of the Y6 theme songs? They're still working that out. Individual theme songs are causing some controversies and causing some unhappiness. When it comes to the group theme song, they're pretty happy overall. Ghost says, hello Tom and chat, hope everyone's been doing well. Welcome Ghost, good to see ya. Matty says, watch for the pig. Marcel says, watching you on my phone and the soccer on the laptop at work. That is a man of a plan. Danny says, Britt vs Mercedes could be a great match. And does really help to re-establish Britt Baker. She was briefly the best that AEW had, and that has dropped a little bit further down, unfortunately. Hello, Khalid. Good to see you, mate. We have 90 people currently watching, 46 likes. 4 more gets us to 50. And as I said earlier, keeping that momentum, keeping the amount of likes as a percentage of views high, guarantees new viewers. So please do keep that coming. Trekkipedia says, good afternoon everyone, please help out Tom with subbing, liking and sharing. Thank you Trekkipedia, appreciate you. Cal says, every week I find myself tuning in for the White 6, it's been amazing. Michael says the White 6 will probably show up backstage. I suspect we'll see them on the show. I think it's more likely they'll be backstage than out front, but we'll see how it goes. Marcel also says, watch the pig. Trekkipedia says, do you believe Tessa Blanchard will ever be part of WWE, or did she burn her bridge? There was, as I've reported many moons ago, people trying to convince Vince McMahon to hire Tessa Blanchard. He didn't bite, and if he didn't bite, Triple H certainly isn't going to. Sean says, good to see Britt Baker back. Wonder if any AEW fans thought Becky was going to show up at Forbidden Door. Likely, but they're likely the same fans who expected Mercedes Money to turn up at the Royal Rumble. Danny says, Liv and Dominik will win tonight and she will do more flirting with him. Yeah, pretty much that's how the story usually goes. And Dax says, hello from Illinois. We are going international. Welcome, Dax. Spider-Man says, people are already complaining about Mercedes Money after she won the New Japan Strong Women's title, a title that was made for her. Yes, the championship was literally made for her, as I reported almost a year ago, I'd say now. Sean says, as for the pig, would I be close in assuming that the mask itself has some control over Gacy? Not something I've personally been told as regards the power of the mask. The power of Gacy, though, is very much its own thing. Eric says, watch the pig, feed the pig. Piggy, piggy. And now I'm watching, in my head, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Napoleon was a piggy wiggy. Alexa Gamer says, howdy, howdy. Trekkipedia says Wrestling Days and See Wrestling are awesome too. My nephew's got me into watching Wrestling Days, and he shows you love a lot, man, so I always tell my friends and family about you free. Appreciate that, Trekkipedia, and certainly appreciate him as well. Jan says Ricochet's WWE contract has already expired and Dijak left the WWE. Any other contract updates for other superstars? No names, but I do have more information about the strategy that they're planning to exhort. Cal says, Tom, when you spoke about Rowan going missing, could we see Rowan playing an alternative character, maybe a tribute to Harper? I did see people suggesting that on Twitter. At this point, I don't have any further information about that. Just keep an eye for when he's not there. Marcel says, don't tell my boss. I won't tell if you will. Sean says, any news about Alexa Bliss returning? I've already shared everything I have about Alexa Bliss. Kelvin says, really sad to watch last night's AW pay-per-view. A lot of people show up full crown, but for Dynamite or Collision, a lot of empty seats. Full crowd, got it. Perry says, enjoying a happy Canada Day, but enjoying Tom Colohue on Canada Day is better. Happy Canada Day to you. I did not know that was a thing. We don't really have that in the UK, and even when we do, not really. Happy Canada Day to you. Hope you're having a great day. James says, will Alexa return before SummerSlam? I've already reported everything I have about Alexa Bliss. Charles Williams Sr. says, hello, you're doing a phenomenal job, and do you think Alexa Bliss might be Sister Abigail? Thank you very kindly for the very nice words, and no, I do not. Sister Abigail was dead to begin with, and at this point the entire storyline does not revolve around her. She was a cult leader, and Bray Wyatt was a follower. He still existed in order to bring, I forgot for a moment, in order to bring her teachings forward, but the entire storyline started with Sister Abigail being dead. Krios says, thanks for the info, good luck with your upcoming move, and from the US, watch the pig. Welcome, Krios, thank you very much for joining us. And yeah, things are going well. Things are going well so far. Lot happening, but things are going well. Trekipedia says, is it true Orton is pushing for Matt Riddle to be brought back, or is that just speculation? I wouldn't say he's necessarily pushing, but Randy Orton remains a Matt Riddle fan. For many, many reasons. Ishii says, if Eric Rowan is going missing, does Uncle Howdy go look for him? I've shared all the information that I have at this point in time. Khalid, Paul Heyman did get attacked on Friday. More on that shortly. Dax says, is there any talk about any of the Wyatt Six getting new finishers? There is an intention that even though we know who's behind the mask, they won't make it too obvious to begin with. I do suspect we'll see similar finishers. Danny says, smash the likes, over 100 viewers. We have indeed hit more than 100 viewers, 111 at the point of this. 56 likes, 4 more once again, gets up to a nice round 60. Spider-Boss says, I don't know which word describes better the Liv Morgan and Dominik storyline. It's either cringe or annoying. Storyline makes the Lana and Rusev storyline look good. Pardon me. To be fair, that storyline did great numbers on YouTube, I'll tell you that. Sam says, will Seth be at SummerSlam? Yes, he will. Sean says, where do you see Natalya going to? I've already reported what I can on Natalya. I can't guarantee she's not going to sign a new deal, but it is said that the contract offer has been insulting. Kevin says, I hope Zelina Vega vs Liv Morgan main events Raw, because that was disrespect by WWE to remove the Raw Women's Champion Money in the Bank. Typically, if there's a championship match, it does main event. You will see a rotation in championship matches on Raw and SmackDown, and that's the way that they ensure that the main event is worth watching. Khalid says, congratulations on the house, mate. You deserve it. Thank you, Khalid. Appreciate you. Trekipedia also echoes that. Congratulations on the house again. Thank you, Trekipedia. Hector says, Tom, is there any chance we get similar videos to Uncle Howdy's last week where he interviewed the person who plays him? Could be cool to see similar videos for the other Wyatt Six members. We could, and I'd be very excited by that, just a way to introduce them. As I have aforementioned, different characters will be more open about who they are or who they have been in previous incarnations. Kura says, is it indeed time to say Sami Zayn is going to get murdered at Money in the Bank? I wouldn't go that far. Murdered is a strong word. Spiderbot says, do you know if AEW has interest in signing former New Japan Strong Women's Champion Steph Vaca? Not to my knowledge. I don't have any information. That doesn't mean it's not true, to be clear. That doesn't mean there's no interest, just that I don't know it. Drive-by says, hey Tom, any news on Roman and his return? I do believe we did a Bloodline special about a week ago that you may enjoy. Julian says, hello Tom, all the way from Southern California. Love and appreciate your content and hope all is well. Thank you, Julian. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Michael says, AEW, or I suppose WWE, need to give Stephanie Vaca a look. She's fantastic. James says, will Chelsea Green be getting a push with Money in the Bank? Only as much of a push as someone can get in one match. Randall, we have not started the Judgment Day news just yet. It is coming shortly, don't you worry. Charles says, do you think Zilla Fatu is coming to WWE? Spoilers, maybe. Ishii says, does Uncle Howdy use a mandible claw? Not sure yet, but he has used it in the past and I don't see any reason to change that. Trekipedia says, had off work today, get to watch Tom, so it's a good day. Thank you, Trekipedia. The other Mike says, I'm never going to understand the Jack Perry support, man. How you cheer for the guy who talked shit and got beat up. He's a heel. You're supposed to not like him. Dax says, I'm glad Dave shouted you out. I'm loving these streams. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you, Dax. I very much appreciate that. Very kind words. Sean says, did everyone hear that Joe Hendry was Rusev and Lana's lawyer on SmackDown? Talked about it on Insight with Chris Van Vliet. Yep, it's been all over Twitter for years. Danny says, Tiffany and Jay to win Money in the Bank. Is this your last show tonight of your break to focus on your house? No, we have 2 more shows left. The break comes after July 8th, which will be essentially my birthday show. My birthday is on the Sunday, July 7th. We'll do a birthday special, and then I'll take a break of looking like about 2 weeks in order to ensure the house is up to snuff and up to par, and I can then get going. Angel says, will Liv have a match at Money in the Bank? More on that shortly. Ishii says, congratulations on the house again. Appreciate you. Sean says, just saw a possible Rhea tease on X. Any news? Sean, who is the tease from? Gonna need that information before I can comment. Trekkipedia says, where's everyone from? Arizona here. If you do want to answer that, jump on in. Trekkipedia has asked, where's everyone from? Angel says, is Liv going to take over the Judgment Day as a new leader? More on that very shortly. Chris says, do you expect Samantha Irvin to leave? No. Perry says, Tom, I hope you won't swerve when you drive to your new house. Congrats on the amazing news. Appreciate that, sir. Yeah, I bought a house for my family. Big news over here in the UK. Things are real expensive. I think we got a bit of a bargain, especially on just my salary. A 4-bedroom house, which is huge in the UK. Huge in general. It's a big house. And I'm very excited to give you guys a tour as soon as I'm able to. Sam, I can see that you copied your comment. I did respond to it. Spider-Boss says the definition of read the writing on the wall. Mercedes Money noticed fans are booing her and she turned heel quick. I did mention that a heel turn was in her future. I mean, that'd be the dream crush. Sean says hopefully Dakota qualifies for Money in the Bank tonight. Given the people in the match, I'd be surprised if she didn't. Thank you, Trekkipedia. Appreciate you. Sean says it was a Dom promo. He stopped to talk in front of a production truck with Rhea's face looming over his shoulder. Ooh, I like that. I like that. That's good. That's good. Perry says, going to have a studio? Yes, I am. We're calling it The Office, but ultimately it's a studio where occasionally my kids will also do their homework. I'm excited. It's not too much bigger than this room here, but there isn't a massive leak, which is good. But that is the wall I've been taking down. And it's the connecting wall to next door. There's a lot. There's a lot. Eric is from Washington Heights section of Manhattan. Wow, living the high life. Chris says, will CM Punk be in Toronto? Yes, he will. And Spider-Boss says, now that Liv Morgan is overtaking the Judgment Day should be renamed as Liv Morgan Simps. Wow, brutal. I wouldn't go that far. Speaking of the Judgment Day, our top story today is as regards Judgment Day and the impending implosion. Note that I've not said explosion, I have said implosion. They are not going like that, they are going like that. And that is going to be fun. As we get to this news, we have just hit a new record for the stream of 120 viewers, 63 likes, 2 more to 65. Please keep that rolling and let me know what you think as I get through this news. I will be taking small breaks during it to keep caught up with the chat. Judgment Day without Rhea Ripley were always set to implode. Now, admittedly, they weren't expecting to lose Rhea Ripley so soon, but there was apparently a plan in place that involved Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest butting heads over the leadership as the emotional core of the group. Now, Rhea Ripley had already been established as a leader, and there is a reason for that, the aforementioned butting of heads. But as much as anything else, it was long-term, with a plan for Rhea Ripley to essentially decide when Judgment Day says goodbye. Rhea Ripley's return is still penciled in for soon, around SummerSlam time, but the WWE are intending to have damage done by then, to the point that Rhea Ripley either comes back and manages to hold things together through sheer force of will for a couple of brief moments before it collapses, or she returns to see the ashes as they fall. There's a number of different ways in which they are focusing on doing this, and I'm going to break it down by individual once again. It was very popular on Friday's show. Let's do it one more time. Dominik Mysterio, as we know, is where the focus is. That is where Liv Morgan is putting her attention. And having him without his mummy is making him look aimless and distracted. This actually started before the injury to Rhea Ripley, with his motion to essentially go up against Rey Mysterio again at WrestleMania. A sort of suggestion that the Judgment Day is splitting even before it starts, with Dominik Mysterio also disrespecting the rule of law as set up by the leadership of Judgment Day. He's also the very obvious red herring. Liv Morgan is playing him, but with no intention of actually keeping him. She's claiming him because she wants what Rhea Ripley has, but if Rhea Ripley returns, Liv Morgan probably won't want Dominik Mysterio anymore. Liv Morgan is playing him to frustrate Rhea Ripley, and she will be furious upon her return. But Mysterio is not going to be benefiting from the involvement of Morgan. While this is a very effective way to handle the fact that he was carrying an injury and soon will be taking time off to recuperate, instead, the actual benefit is falling directly to Finn Balor, whom is working quietly behind the scenes, full of many hints towards it, with Liv Morgan. The championship win this week was a very clear indication that Dominik Mysterio is not the benefactor of Liv Morgan. In fact, as much as anything else, this is still all about Rhea Ripley. Checkapedi says, my theory on Money in the Bank women's, if Dakota qualifies, is she stops Io from winning, Io chases her to the back, thus keeping them out of the majority of the match. Eric is from London, Ontario, Canada. Justin says Judgment Day is going to end badly if Damian Priest loses at Money in the Bank. Angel says Liv got new merch that says that it's finally on top. The trolling to Rhea. Perry says any news on Natalia's contract situation? A little bit still to come. Khalid is from West London, so 2 Londons in quick succession. Dax says, do we know when Bo will have his first match back? Also, will the White Six wrestle often? Sorry for all the questions. Do not apologise. What we do here is we thrive on questions. We thrive on engagement. We thrive on community. I will always try and answer as many questions as I possibly can. I will essentially try and keep up. Only, for example, donations, I'll answer them immediately because they've jumped the queue, and rightly so. But we need the questions here. These shows live and die based on you asking questions. There were days early on when, without questions, I would end the show after 15-20 minutes. Nowadays, we regularly go for an hour, so never apologise for asking questions. As regards matches back, it remains to be seen how involved in the ring the Wyatt Six will be. I think it'll take a little while, but they will all eventually be there. RM says, hello Tom, will Randy and Gunter have their rematch? It seems like it'll take a while now because there is certainly an element of separation, and Gunter might be the World Heavyweight Champion before it happens. Sean says, I didn't agree with Judgment Day winning back the tag titles. In my opinion, the Creed brothers should have dethroned Awesome Truth. To be fair, the story of the Creed brothers and Chad Gable is still incoming. Once that kicks into gear, that may happen. Chris says, Dom posted a video on teased Rhea to return. Apparently it's a big night for Dom. Well, he is facing his dad. It's Dirty Dom and Daddy Dom. Oh, ugh. No, because Liv's going to call Ray Daddy. Anyway. Spider-Bot says, I see a Judgment Day Civil War. Rhea and Damian Priest versus Liv and Dom in a mixed tag team match. More on that later. Trickopedia says 66 likes. Come on, folks. Keep it up, please, and let's get Tom to 70. Only one away. Wiggly says, what up, Tom? Welcome, mate. Ian Jackson says, great content. Keep up the great work, buddy. Hashtag watch the pig. Watch the pig indeed. Thank you for the kind words, Ian. I'm not going to forget Thursday, Wiggly. Come on, mate. You know me better than that. Spider-Ball says Liv Morgan's focus should be on the women's world title instead of Dominik. Until Rhea Ripley returns, there are very few real threats. And imagine a lot of the work tonight with Zelina Vega is to address that. Thor says, any news on Alexa Bliss's new character? I've already reported everything I have on Alexa Bliss. Chris says JD and Finn are the benefactors. JD is not intended to be the benefactor. Hector says maybe we could see Rhea and Dom versus Finn and Liv if the story continues down its current path. Sean says Liv did say the title is more important to her, yet she's only had one title defense. It's not really her fault, it's the booking's fault. Kevin says first time ever, no horsewomen on a pay-per-view. You know Money in the Bank this year. Wiggly says, have you seen the new collaboration between Man City and WWE? I'm based in North West London, and yes. George Adams says, any word on Brock Lesnar returning? Nope. The only thing I continually hear is, it's not happening. Danny says, football's coming home. England got their out of jail free card. Yeah, an overhead kick. Spider-Bot says, Liv Morgan, the women's world title means the world to me. Also, Liv spending more time with the Judgment Day. Not a surprise. Same thing happened with Rhea Ripley. Marcel says, I'm from a small town in the Netherlands. We are quite international. Ishi says, the Wyatt Six going to attack people backstage like another massacre. Can't say what they're going to do tonight. You know I don't spoil what's happening on the night. But I will say, they announced a massacre before they did it. Chris says, will Rhea Ripley be faced? Kinda. Trekopedia says, could we see someone like Rhea interfere in Liv's match tonight, causing Liv to face Zelina and Rhea Saturday? Unlikely, not impossible. Noob says, hello, Mr. Colohue, how are you doing today? Doing very well, thank you, Noob. Welcome to the show. And Backwards says, do you see Bron Breakker winning the IC title at Money in the Bank? I very much fancy his chances. People are real high on Bron Breakker right now, and I did report previously that the Intercontinental Championship seemed destined for his locker. Back to Judgment Day. We have 72 likes now, 3 more to 75. Since signing a new deal recently, Finn Balor was promised a push, though he was not assured anything close to a top-level championship. Instead, the promise was simply a genuinely interesting story, and when you look at the stories that were happening in and around everyone else, for example Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor was said to be very intrigued by this and trusted Triple H to deliver. The loss of Rhea Ripley meant that they did have to change the script, but the WWE are still said backstage to have delivered. Judgment Day are back competing with championships after the initial plan to move on from that after WrestleMania. This is one of the reasons that the championships were split, so that Judgment Day could still be in and around competing for them. The original intention was to move on to a new section of tag team championship contenders who are slightly smaller and basically are wrestling as cruiserweights. Thankfully, splitting up the championships allowed Balor to still compete without swallowing up the whole division. This and the Morgan story is said to be more than enough to prove WWE are keeping their word, and Finn Balor is said to be excited backstage for everything that the WWE is providing him with. It does set up, potentially, a very lucrative mixed tag match, which you guys guessed it, of Finn Balor and Liv Morgan versus Dominik Mysterio and Rhea Ripley upon Rhea Ripley's return. This would not only buy time before the Morgan versus Ripley championship match, it would also allow Ripley to work her way back to fitness without a major risk. You will remember that the WWE brought Liv Morgan back too early and she picked up an additional injury which kept her out for another 6 months or so. The WWE nowadays are a lot more careful. Outside of, as I teased a long time ago and as came true, Randy Orton in War Games. Plus, of course, Finn Balor would finally once again become a focal point, allowing the possibility of Finn Balor pinning Dominik Mysterio, Rhea Ripley then essentially going into a match with Liv Morgan as a loser, and Dominik Mysterio not being particularly popular with his mommy. Could be very beneficial overall for Finn Balor. Spider-Ball says it'll be fun when Liv drops Dominik after Rhea's return. No, Cal, why would anyone do that? Wikipedia says this weekend is WWE and NXT, right? Hasn't happened since Mania. I love it. I do believe so. Rosal says, hello Tom, did you catch Forbidden Door yesterday? I thought the show was kind of mad. Not had a chance to watch it just yet. I did spend about 8 hours at the house today trying to get it up to snuff. Dax says, will Bo Dallas be a recurring character going forward, or was last week a one-time thing? We will see more of Bo Dallas in the weeks to come. They're still very much establishing who he is, who Howdy is, and what their motivations are. They are faces, and they want to stay that way, at least for now. Trekipedia says 75, can we get to 80? We're now on 78, so again, 2 more. Bailey says, Tom, where do you see WWE Speed headed in the future? Seem to have been created with Ricochet in mind. Yes and no. It was also created with the TikTok generation in mind to try and bring more traffic to X, or formerly known as Twitter. Essentially, the deal was struck with Elon Musk, and it does create an opportunity for people lower down the card. That said, they are not planning to commit to any individuals because, yeah, they're upset they lost Ricochet. Chris says Finn Balor is still considered a main event level talent, clearly a main eventer despite not pursuing the top prize. Debatable point. Rickan says, can we expect Ricochet in AEW by Wednesday? Also, do you think Zilla Fatu will be a part of War Games? War Games is a way away, no plans that I've heard as of yet. As regards Ricochet, Fightful have reported that he's likely in AEW. Beyond that, I'm not sure. Kervin, Mercedes money did not lie. There is an element of creative control for everyone in AEW. They're allowed to pitch their own stories and be a lot more involved when it comes to promos. However, they do not plan major matches. Jason says, do you know which talent WWE are high on in NXT right now? Jason Briggs has earned a lot of love. That's one that really stands out. Roxanne Perez is an obvious one as well. Sean says, do you think the storyline will end with a Dom face turn? I personally don't. Though it would make him a lot more relatable. Maybe more time in prison will help. Spider-Ball says if Rhea loses because of Dominik, I suggest Rhea beats up Dominik. That would get a big ovation from fans. And if anything, it would make Dominik love her even more. Angel says Carlito and Judgment Day has been hilarious. That's cool. I do like what he's been doing. Trekkipede says, Tom, what's the most amount of likes you've gotten on a spoiler warning? While live, it's about 130. That's while live. We do come pretty close to it at times. We have not hit 130 likes in a very long time. We haven't broken 100 likes while live in a very long time. Though Friday spoiler warning has reached about 300, so that's pretty good too. Ishii says, could the Funhouse come back since they were in the Funhouse last week? You've answered your own question there, mate. Sean says, are you aware of Cage Match, Tom? Rate matches in WWE and other promotions. They rated the cage match between Liv and Becky as bad, that it was a poor send-off for Becky. I'm aware of Cage Match, yes. Kevin says, cool for Finn Balor, but give me somebody new over Judgment Day Tag Team Champions. Well, you do have a new Judgment Day Tag Team Champion. JD. He's got gold now. Dax says, do you have any news on the gift that Liv gave Dominik? They may or may not be very physical. Hector says, Corey Brennan of Fightful, thank you for sourcing, reported that several major names in the British wrestling scene believe that should World of Sport Wrestling acquire a TV deal in the UK, World of Sport Wrestling is returning and I believe they have a TV deal in the UK, WWE will respond by launching NXT Europe. WWE are already working on NXT Europe and are already planning a launch in the next few months. Sean says, did you have Will Ospreay winning the AEW World title, Tom? Personally, yes, I did. Red says, hi Tom, I hope Fox don't do what they did Friday. Fox have no reason at all to help the WWE anymore. And it shows. Spider Boss says, and this is quite entertaining, funny thing is, last time Rhea Ripley got pinned in a mixed tag team match when Liv pinned Rhea, Finn Balor was Liv's tag team partner in that match. Marcel wants to break the 130 like record. I wish you luck, sir. Jackipedia says everyone try and get Tom to 90, please. Ishii says we need to get to 100. We're on 83, guys. Let's be achievable. 2 more to 85. Perry says, any word and if there are any truth or traction to the rumours of WWE potentially acquiring TNA? Not to my knowledge, no. They have access to TNA talent. They're happy to work with them. However, I'm not aware of any intention for an actual purchase. Angel says, is Becky Lynch going to be a part-timer like Roman? Like Roman? No. Part-time? Yes. And Danny says, let's push towards 100 likes, guys. Come on. I admire your enthusiasm, guys. We have 136 people here, 84 likes. We're doing really well. I'm not sure that we're going to see 130 plus likes. We need to be realistic on that one. Michael says the whole Y6 will show up tonight. Let's see how it played out. Might be a promo, sorry for the questions. I don't think I said that. But again, don't be sorry for asking questions. We like questions here, guys. We love questions here. There are a few things in YouTube which really help the channel to grow. I've mentioned likes, overall viewers is good. There's also something called chat rate, where the more people are talking per minute, the more engaged the chat is, the more YouTube advertises the show. So if I pop up to say a chat rate of 20, as in I get 20 messages in a minute, what will happen is that you'll see a spike in the amount of viewers. In fact, you kind of just have. This literally comes down to people talking and people asking questions. So not only are you helping the chat rate, but you're also giving me something to respond to. And if I have something to respond to, that means we're going further and we're growing and the show continues. So please never apologise. Danny says, Tiffany or Lyra for women's Money in the Bank. Trekipedia says, could we see WWE showing TNA footage as part of the deal? Yes. Koo says, first reporter on spoiler warning about the push for Jack Perry and also joining the Elite. I was indeed the first one to report that Jack Perry was expected to join the Elite. Spider-Boss says, SmackDown Women's Division is more enjoyable with Bayley, Chelsea Green and Bianca and Jade and Queen Nia. Raw Women's Division doesn't get much TV time. They are missing Becky, they are missing Rhea. Angel says, while Saraya being booked poorly in AEW, is there any chance she'll return to WWE? I just don't think they're using her very much, and she's been sort of overtaken by people like Mercedes. As regards WWE, I'm not aware that she's interested. Danny says we can do it, have faith. I mean, you're up to 87 already. You're not far off the 90. I'll give you credit for it. Back to Judgment Day. Because lost and forgotten in all of this is the current WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Damian Priest. I've spoken about Liv Morgan, I've spoken about Rhea Ripley, I've spoken about Dominik Mysterio, I've spoken about Finn Balor. Damian Priest isn't really part of this. A man who could not be any more obviously second to current undisputed WWE Not Universal Champion Cody Rhodes is also in many ways secondary to Liv Morgan as well. Plus, he will undoubtedly be secondary to Rhea Ripley upon her return. Priest is about to defend his championship against former champion Seth Rollins, but instead of focusing on this match, he's having to put out fires in Judgment Day, and this is creating additional tension. Seth Rollins lost the championship due to a distraction from The Rock and Roman Reigns. Drew McIntyre lost the championship due to being distracted by CM Punk. Damian Priest's distraction comes from his own team, and it doesn't seem to be quieting down anytime soon. For Damian Priest at least, Rhea Ripley's return can't come soon enough. Unfortunately, Priest versus Balor, once Gunter claims the gold, seems to be a go. Damian Priest for me will successfully defend the championship against Seth Rollins by hook or by crook, but when it comes to Gunter, I suspect he'll have a lot less people in his corner. Bayley says, what is the status of the Women's Ring of Honor title? Athena said in character she could be out 8 to 12 months. It will have to be defended somehow, so Ring of Honor might have to find an inventive way to do so. Backwards says, I see Logan Paul costing LA Knight the Money in the Bank match in some form. Me too. The plan long term, as I have mentioned, for SummerSlam is Logan Paul versus LA Knight. They're already building towards it. I'm excited to see that happen, and I do see LA Knight winning the United States Championship. Razar says, what's going on with Bayley? She's a champion and barely gets featured on TV now. They are, as I mentioned previously, rotating women's championship. Pardon me. Rotating women's championship feuds. It's Liv Morgan and Zelina Vega's turn right now, so Bayley is intentionally being faded to the background. Michael says, was Saraya expected to wrestle frequently in AEW? I don't believe she was, but she was expected to wrestle more frequently than she currently is doing. Trekipedia says Damian Priest saying they need him more than he needs them, and also has been acting like a face in the last few weeks. The demolition by Gunter may leave a door wide open for a Finn Balor versus Damian Priest feud. Andrew says, any chance Buddy Matthews returning to WWE anytime soon? Soon is up for debate. I do see him returning though. Spider-Boss Saraya has spent more time being manager of Harley Cameron and her brother Zach. She hasn't wrestled much since she lost the AEW Women's title last year. Perry says, I'm surprised unless we see tonight some backlash and Judgment Day on Priest. Quote where he said, last JD needs him more than he needs JD. I can't quote that. I'm taking that from, to be clear, Trekipedia. Trekipedia did say as well, Priest stopped his teammates from attacking Jey Uso at Backlash, offering Seth the title match, telling his teammates to not interfere in matches, more face than heel, which is a very fair comment. Danny says, will we see Julia show up at Heatwave after Roxanne returns? I'm leaning that way, yes. Paris says, since El Phantasmo is considered to be Wish Logan Paul, should he consider coming to the ring with a Gatorade bottle? I would love that, and he would fit in very well with Toriano and his curries. On to the 136 people watching, let's go. Let's go indeed. We have been getting very good numbers recently. I'm thrilled with the growth of the community. Just in general, very happy overall. Red says, have that still got the 24/7 belt still as Nick has it? Nick? Sean says, according to PWInsider, a WWE source said nothing is off the table with the idea of a reunion between Wes Lee and the Rascals. Issue says almost 100 likes. We are 6 away from that. And Spider-Ball says Rhea and Damian Priest gave some credibility to the Judgment Day. I wholeheartedly agree. There is a bit more news that I'm going to dive into. That was our top story as regards Judgment Day. Let's talk now about the WWE's plans to change how they're doing contracts. So the WWE are planning to offer much lower contracts going forwards to wrestlers that Nick Khan does not believe to be worth the money that they're currently being paid. If wrestlers are not necessarily worth the cost-benefit analysis that Nick Khan completes, he will look to push them out of the door, and he will suggest to Triple H that you probably shouldn't push these people. Now, if offers are made, and an offer was apparently made very late to Dominik Dijakovic, if offers are made, they will be low down, and that is also exactly what happened with Natalya. This encourages them to leave, and if they don't leave, the WWE keeps them for a much lower amount. This is, of course, also what I'm talking about when it comes to the overall level of insult. Some of the offers that are being made to wrestlers are said to be insulting. Now, these are not necessarily budget cuts, because they're not releases. Instead, they're simply not interested in keeping a number of people that they're not currently using. And it does create opportunity for those wrestlers to go elsewhere. However, communication is said to not be fantastic. Dominik Dijakovic is not the only person that simply wasn't approached. Ricochet was written out with a view to returning. The WWE did still want him, whereas they didn't necessarily want Dominik Dijakovic. Natalya has been missing for a while. Dijak, Ricochet and Natalya have proven to be a part of this new strategy where offers made were not strong. Meanwhile, names like the aforementioned Finn Balor didn't get a substantial raise with his new contract, but did get an offer of a storyline. WWE have firmly changed the system, and we'll be hearing similar stories to those of Dijak quite a lot in the near future. It also is one of the reasons why it took so long to get a deal in place for people like Seth Rollins, for people like Becky Lynch, because if you're looking for limited dates, they're expecting you to look for less money. They're being clever with this. Certain wrestlers, they will never question, they will just give deals to. But there are plenty of wrestlers now that they will not do so. Drekipedia says, could you see Lucha Brothers coming to WWE since their deal may be up soon? I'm aware there is some interest. Joey says, I'm disappointed WWE let Dijak go. Could have been a big star on the main roster. I agree. So does Triple H. Razar says the stipulation for Money in the Bank is if Priest loses, he has to leave Judgment Day, so I feel like he's losing the title. Personally, I go in the other direction. Chris says Tony Khan is more than happy to pay them what they're asking for. Not quite. Certainly he'll pay for big names, but he's also releasing a lot of people, as first reported here on the Tom Colohue channel. He's having a lot of people released at the moment, and it's causing a lot of people to be very upset. But it's happening quietly and behind the scenes, and most of the wrestlers released simply haven't made a big deal out of it. Spider-Boss says, I think only people such as Becky and Seth and Charlotte can get a big deal from WWE. WWE only give big deals to their chosen ones. I believe that may be a reference to Drew McIntyre, because certainly he got a very good offer. Mercedes Money added the New Japan Strong Women's Championship to her TBS Championship, and it is the beginning of a belt collector World Tour of Gold. This championship, as I previously reported, was made for her, and upon becoming injured, she was assured that she would claim the gold as soon as she was reasonably able. This story has now played out as expected. Money is still expected to embark on a World Tour style run, and both AEW and New Japan wanted to put gold onto her beforehand to further advertise their services. Now that she is firmly established in AEW, I would expect to see Mercedes Money starting to pop up elsewhere more often. This is also similar to something going on with Jon Moxley's contract. Part of Jon Moxley's contract involves a similar World Tour element, though with less overall non-AEW or AEW affiliate appearances. For example, should Mercedes Money request to work TNA, despite them currently having a working arrangement with WWE, that request would be granted from the AEW side. This is unlikely for Moxley. New Japan was a specifically named preference from Moxley, meaning that we are likely to see involvement on a year-by-year basis. Moxley did have a great time in New Japan in the time between WWE and AEW. He remembers it very fondly, and New Japan are very eager to get him as involved as they can because he is a proven draw for them. Sean says, I believe I saw a report saying that Tony was spending over $100 million per year on talent. That was from Wrestling Observer. I do question it. However, many moons ago on this very channel, we did a financial analysis on AEW, making it clear that it was not profitable. It took 2 years for that information to become public knowledge, and I'm not surprised with the amount that they're potentially spending. Let's just say Jon Moxley is very expensive for them. Also Jericho. Bailey says, sounds like it was smart that Drew and Bailey signed when they did. They did get the good offers. Chris says Dijak was a Triple H favourite. Damn, it is one of the first times when Triple H and Nick Khan have openly disagreed. Sean says Alexa could possibly get a big deal from WWE also. Upon her return, she will likely announce a new contract as well. Angel says, whatever changes do you see with the WWE Netflix deal? We'll go into that a bit more in the future. At the moment, the final changes have not really been ironed out. Censorship down is obviously one of them. Andrew says, do you think Seth loses clean to Priest or JD will get involved? It definitely won't be clean. I do think Judgment Day will get involved, and I do think Damian Priest will not be happy about it. Hello, NS. Welcome to the show. Sean says, do you see that Ash by Elegance won the WSW Women's title? Good for her. Certainly gets her back in the public eye. Joey says, I hope Ilya wins Money in the Bank if he qualifies. I think it would benefit someone like him more than Jey Uso. I do personally agree with that. Jey Uso more likely at this point to be working with a Roman Reigns, but the briefcase does allow him to go over and back up his cousin. Trickipedia all says, almost to 100 likes, everyone, please keep it up. 2 more. Crush says, so you're saying Mercedes could work TNA and then work WWE? I'm saying Mercedes could work TNA. Drive-by says, any news on when WrestleMania tickets are due to go on sale, Tom? Any idea on if we should expect to see The Rock around SummerSlam? I do not expect to see The Rock around SummerSlam. As regards WrestleMania tickets, they usually launch further into the summer, closer to autumn time. Spider-Boss says, wouldn't mind if Mercedes Money reclaimed the IWGP Women's title on her world tour. I believe New Japan would be pretty happy with that. Red says, I hear Simone Werewolf and the Bloodline has got a hit list on them. A lot of hit lists at the moment. Chris says, sucks that Dijak wasn't worth it to Nick Khan, but hopefully he thrives elsewhere. Thanks for the update, Wiggly. Perry says, we know when a talent is hurt, that injury time is added to a contract's length. Does maternity leave do the same? Yes and no. Now, typically, when it comes to contracts, WWE expects you to return and then start contract negotiations, and that's kind of what I expect. I just don't think those negotiations will take particularly long. When it comes to maternity leave, though, the WWE make a point of not rushing anyone back. Because, regardless of whether you're still injured, if the WWE say, hey, they're cleared, let's go, you have to wrestle. When it comes to maternity leave, that is not the case. Crush thinks The Rock probably won't return until early next year. He's got a busy schedule. I expect around War Games time. Jason says Jey Uso wins Money in the Bank, but Bloodline cost him the cash-in. This pushes him to the Roman side of Bloodline with Jimmy. We did, in fact, just hit 102 likes. Thank you, Danny, for chasing and pursuing that one. Spider-Boss says Damian Priest title defences had outside interference. A Backlash, the Judgment Day got involved. A Clash of the Castle. CM Punk cost the title to Drew. Yeah, he's not exactly picking up scalps, Damian Priest, but he is still picking up wins over people the like of Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre and quite possibly Seth Rollins. So it's an exciting list. Tricky PD says, could we see Rock at Survivor Series? He has a respect for that event since it's where he debuted. I think that's possible. Outlet says, will Drew McIntyre get attacked by CM Punk? Yes. Quite a lot. Trekkipedia wants us to keep going. I mean, I respect you guys for pushing it. 130 is a big number. King Alice says, Tom, do you think Punk will screw Drew at Money in the Bank? Yes. Alad, I don't have information as regards exactly what's going to happen Monday Night Raw. I wouldn't share it if I did, to be honest. This is a wide-ranging show. Chris says Gunter as World Heavyweight Champion versus Drew at WrestleMania 41. I've mentioned that as a possibility, yes. Perry says, I think Jay winning Money in the Bank is why Roman comes back to help Jay win the title, which could be held by Solo at the time. Spider-Bot says, happy to see WWE doesn't rush the return of injured stars. I remember Mercedes Money returned early in 22 after suffering a leg injury before the 22 Women's Rumble. Finley says, I see McIntyre qualifying for Money in the Bank tonight and Drew getting screwed by Punk. Angel says, who do you see facing Gunter at Money in the Bank? Seth or Damien? Damien, all the way. All the way. Thank you, NS. Sean says, if Julia doesn't appear at Heatwave, who could be next for Roxanne Perez? They would need to build someone up, and because they expected Julia, they've not really done so. Hey, John J, nice to see you. Joey says, is the Gable and Otis feud still happening? Eventually, yes. Got you, Angel. Gotcha. Damage Control are in an awkward spot right now, and are not necessarily getting the attention that they were before Io Sky lost the championship to Bayley. This is because the WWE did not have a storyline from creative ready when they decided to split Damage Control away from Bayley in the draft. There was plentiful talk about Dakota Kai being built up to face off against Bayley. This did not end up happening. The WWE were also aware, and this is one of the reasons that they did the change, that Asuka would require time off, and as such, they focused on other names in the build to SummerSlam and will return to a Damage Control focus in the days once Asuka does return. From a creative position, only Io Sky is considered established enough to maintain the level of attention required. Chris says Gunter will most definitely defend against Seth at some point. I would enjoy that match. Trekipedia says Jay and Tiffany are my picks to win their respective Money in the Bank matches. Blair says Tom, what is up? Welcome, Blair. Perry says I see Dragunov advancing due to Punk and Kaiser interference. Danny says 106 likes is amazing. Tom will be pleased with that. I am pleased with that. I'm very pleased with that. And as I say, it's been a long time since he's broken 100, so it's doing very well. Red says, do you think Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns will work together on a one-off? Nope. Calvin said, do you feel like DIY and Grayson Waller may be in collusion, maybe setting Theory up, and they all turn on him? DIY have been really trying to convince Theory. I wouldn't hate it, but also wouldn't love it. Bullet Ryan says, any update on Carmella's return? She's working towards a return. She unfortunately picked up a few health issues before she was able to do so. Spider-Boss says, does WWE have so much trust in Julia? Julia's NXT debut has taken long. Yes, because of injuries, but mostly because she wanted to work with Marigold and work with Rossi Ogawa. In the end, working with Julia has the benefit of the doubt because it's earned the WWE a pretty big payday and a pretty big working arrangement. Not necessarily Sean, though I do think DIY would be good champions. And says I see a nice setup for Gunter at Bash at Berlin. Eric says you're basically saying Asuka is an integral part of Damage Control. Yes. Kevin says time to break up Jobber Control. What? No. Perry says I have a theory Austin walks off on Waller and this helps DIY win the tag titles. And Ken says, hi Tom, been a viewer for a while but I've never been able to catch a live until now. Welcome to the show, just Ken. Eric says thoughts on Forbidden Door last night. Haven't watched it. Have been in the house working most of the day and it were long. Razar says I feel like last year around this time you were giving us hints of a Bailey Rumble win. Have any idea who will be next year? Seems like there's no front runner so far. No. Not as of yet. You're right that this time last year I was dropping hints about Bailey winning, but also Io Sky had already won the briefcase. And after Io Sky won the briefcase, I was given the entire storyline. So far this year, don't have that information. Trekkie BD says, do you think Julia will be the one to dethrone Roxanne and allow her to go to the main roster? Yes. Joey says, do you think someone like Utami could make the jump next to WWE from Marigold? Could be. Aaron says, Attitude Era returns to Netflix? Not quite. Jason says, do you know where this alliance between Nia and Tiffany is headed? War. Alan says, will Jack and Gable get a new team? Jack and Gable. Spider-Boss says, it is sad to see Dakota Kai beg for an opportunity during her last Twitch stream. King Az says, Tom, do you get any updates on Rhea Ripley's return? Earlier in the show, I gave them. Angel says, Raquel Rodriguez would be a good heel bodyguard for Liv Morgan if Raquel were to return. At the moment, she still has some health issues, but she will return at some point. Sean says, do you have any information on why the Royal Rumble was moved to February and not in January? Primarily because of the arena in which they're competing. Calvin says, I can see Theory walking out on Waller too, but also have a feeling we may get a major twist. I always feel like there'll be a twist, and then the pay-per-view happens and there's none. Andrew says, do you think YS6 appear on Money in the Bank? Yes, I do. Britt says, do you have any information on where the Karrion Kross story is heading? I do not. I've shared what I can about Karrion Kross and that he's largely scripting himself at the moment, but I don't have information as to what the plan is because he's scripting as he goes. Trekkie says, is Corey returning soon? Depends on your definition of soon. AJ says, been sharing your videos everywhere. You have on-point info and I love the way you present it. We will get to 10k by the end of the year, if not by the end of the summer. Thank you, AJ. That's a very generous thing and I appreciate you sharing the video. I do not expect to get to 10,000 by the end of the year. I really don't. That said, because of the generosity of certain individuals and because of the overall success of videos like this, the amount of likes, the high chat rate, the amount of after-the-fact comments that we get, we did gain about 200 subscribers in the last 2 days. If we keep that up, yeah, probably. It would only take about, 20 days? Probably. But it's not realistic to assume so. Perry said I texted Adam Pierce last week a happy birthday. He replies, thank you and love someone today, and I replied I can make that official true story. And I thought it was funny. Didn't know you had that connection, mate. Didn't know you had that connection. He's doing good work, certainly. Sean said, do you think we are close to a Charlotte Flair return? Yes, I do. I think after SummerSlam, we'll see quite a bit of Charlotte Flair. Aaron says, will the cinematic matches return? Nope. Trekipedia still chasing, and people really going for that chat rate. Thank you, Finley, for getting that ball rolling. Can see Ken, can see Danny, can see Eric, can see Bailey, can see Juan, can see Brad, can see AJ. Thank you, everyone, for the W's in chat. The chat rate is now boosted up to 9, so going pretty well, and it does really help the channel grow. King Azza says, Tom, do you see the Bloodline 6-man tag to main event Money in the Bank? No. Primarily because, I do think Damian Priest and Seth Rollins need to main event this one. But I also think it's possible one of the actual Money in the Bank matches main events. Stranger Things. AJ says Chelsea Green versus Tiffany at any point. I think at the moment their characters are a bit too similar to risk it. Danny says no trolls today, Tom. Not so far. Feeling very lucky. Eric says never forget to watch for the pig. Watch the pig. Sean says, well, Iron Man matches return. They will pick their moments. Bullet says any update on Herman's health? He's fine. Dak says, I know you said that Uncle Howdy Bo Dallas is the least important character, but will he still be important? Like, will he have a big spotlight? He will be key to the first phase. Over time, over the whole story, when we look back, he will be the least important character. That's what that means. It's not that everyone will be more important than him the entire time. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that over time, he will become less important and other characters will get mainstream attention. Paul Heyman being attacked by the Bloodline kicks us into the next phase of Solo Sikoa's ascension to the position of Tribal Chief. Overall reception to the storyline has been mixed until recently, with Jacob Fatu said to be adding the intensity that has been missing. Triple H has essentially kicked this one into high gear and ensured that people involved in the story have an opportunity to really shine. All of this is building to the return of Roman Reigns, and of course, the eventual match between Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. Question I have for all of you. Is Roman Reigns still your tribal chief? Or are you more excited for the Phase 3 tribal chief, Jacob Fatu? Michael says, what is the overall reception of Jericho and his character? Tony Khan's a fan. Spider-Man says, Chelsea Green's character is a funny Karen. Tiffany's character is basically a Barbie. At the moment, considered too similar because Tiffany is not fully established. Jon says, any update on Becky Lynch's return? I've updated with all the information that I possibly can on that one already. Ken says, do you know if we'll see Jacob wrestle soon? Yes, we will. Calvin says, Tiffany kind of reminds me of Sharpay from High School Musical. Sharpay also used to say Toodles. I do suspect there's some influence. Joey says, do you see Jimmy Uso returning before Money in the Bank? Not personally, I don't know. Danny says, won't we see Paul Heyman for a while now after he was taken out? Yes, he will take some time off to sell it. Finley says, as regards Roman, he definitely is. Bailey says, Roman is a tribal chief. OLE says, I roll with Fatu. Rizal wants Jacob Fatu. Andrew says, Roman. Parrish acknowledges Roman as he never lost the title of tribal chief to Solo. Give it time. Give it time. Joey says, do you see Chelsea breaking away from Piper and getting a Solo push? Forever is a very long time. Crush says, I acknowledge Roman, I don't acknowledge Solo, and I will acknowledge Jacob Fatu. Danny says, Roman is a tribal chief, always will be. AJ says, and this is a good shout, if no one has seen Chelsea Green versus Pentagon Jr., I definitely recommend it. It was an awesome match. No curve and no updates about Dave Meltzer because why would I even talk? Marcel also backs Roman. Brad says Jacob Fatu is the one I recognise. Spider-Ball says Paul Heyman in tears, not wanting to acknowledge Solo Sikoa's tribal chief was gold. The Bloodline back where it needed to be. Hector says I could see Paul Heyman not returning till you see Roman walking down that ramp for his return. A great pop for both. A long, long time ago, before the return of the Big Red Machine Kane, Paul Bearer stood on the ramp, laughed away, and then Kane's music hit. That is exactly what I would do. Ishii, I suspect they will. Jacob says, this is my first time on here. Welcome, Jacob. Nice to see you. Welcome to the show. Zelina Vega versus Liv Morgan has been brought forwards to Raw. It looks like this has been dropped from the Money in the Bank card. Typically around this time, Triple H does have a few matches that he wants to get on the card, but he will drop late in the day based on whether fans respond to them in the ways that they were hoping for. Unfortunately, at this point, it looks like Liv Morgan and Zelina Vega has been pulled, but during tonight's Raw, that may change. Perry says, imagine if Jacob Fatu was around in the ECW days, would have been amazing. Wikipedia says Heyman returns, raises finger, and Roman returns, calling it now. Danny is asking about the Pentagon versus Chelsea Green match. Is available on YouTube. Chris says one of my favourite returns ever, Kane and Paul Bearer. And that's going to be our show. We've been live for an hour. We've shared plenty of news on Judgment Day. 114 likes. We also peaked at 145 viewers, which is actually even higher than that show on Friday. 524 views. Things going fantastic. We will still be live again on Friday, and then we'll have our show after my birthday on Monday. Then I'll be taking what I now expect to be a 2-week break to formally move everything into the new house. Until then, all I can say is that I've been Tom Colohue, you've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.